just kind of want to show you winnings. You can find all of these on our Discord channel, and at any time if you want to jump in the Discord channel, the link is down below. You can send us these. These are people that have used our advice. These are people that have watched these videos, checked out fantasyteamadvisors.com, also been in the Discord channel. A lot of chatter goes back and forth between you guys and myself when I jump in there. And they asked me to hide their names. Obviously, if you want me to hide your name, that's completely okay. These are just using advice. So just real quick, there are more than these 3 pictures that I'm going to show you. These are just from this weekend using our advice last week. Not necessarily all of our optimal lineups, but our cheat sheet and just all of the advice we throw in the Discord channel. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. So as you can see, $2,000 winner here. This is the $1 million maker, $20 entry on DraftKings. The big key was Traquan Smith at 1.1%. Admittedly, I was not on him in any of my lineups. I didn't enter 150 lineups, so I didn't have exposure to him, but that's what you needed. So you can see 171.54 took it $2,000. I believe the top score was 190 or something like that, or 180. So not the highest scoring week, but definitely a pretty good week for our listeners and subscribers. Another one here, $600 on $20 entry. I'm not sure how many entries they put in. They didn't tell me that, but yeah, so again, you got Traquan Smith here. Antonio Brown let him down. And then $400 winner off $20. He actually had $400, didn't have Traquan Smith. So as you can see, building lineups is key. We give you guys the information and the tools to help. So that's what I want to show you. We're going to get right into the video. Let's do it. All right, guys, so obviously, if you're watching this video, you see it's pretty long. We're going to go in depth, and the reason we can do this is I have some free time, and there's only 2 games to break down. So we're going to go through everything that will hopefully make this weekend the best DFS weekend for you. So that being said, sit back, grab a cold one, grab a paper, pen, Microsoft Word, whatever it is, because we are going in depth. So what I mean by that is we're going to go over the betting. We're going to go over our matchup tool, and we've put every player, conceivable player that should or could make an impact in these games in the depth charts on the sheet. And we're going to go over that. Then we're going to, when we go from that sheet, we're going to come into here into DraftKings, and we're going to break down each position. So we're not going to do it on FanDuel just because obviously the video will be twice as long, and nobody wants that. But obviously the same rules will apply. I mean, there's a little bit of scoring difference between the 2 sites. You can use them for Yahoo if you please, but the only real difference will be the salary. So we're going to dig in. We're going to look at the sports books as well. A lot of people have been asking about sports betting, and we've got that in our Discord channel, so definitely go check that out, and you don't want to miss out. We are also offering half off the month subscription, fantasyteamadvisors.com/plans. Click on month and use the promo code conference, all capital letters, conference. You're going to get half off for a month. So without further ado, let's jump into sports betting. So what we've got currently going on is we're going to go through the game. We're going to look at what is predicted. Obviously, whenever you watch this is being filmed on Tuesday. The games aren't until Sunday. These numbers will change. It's completely true. I understand. But this is going to give you an idea where it starts and where it finishes. And you can see where the line moves, and you can make your bets. Obviously, normally the earlier you get in betting, it's better. But in the description down below, I'm going to give you our FanDuel referral link, and I'm going to give you our DraftKings referral link. Now, DraftKings is having a pretty good promo right now. If you sign up and you use the code, you're going to, and this expires on the 26th, and I'll just read it real quick. To qualify, invited friends must click on the link. You have to be a new player and deposit a minimum of $25. So with this, if you do $25, you're going to get a free bet of $25. If the referral deposit bonus, if you deposit $50 to $99, you're going to get one free $50 bet. And if you deposit $100 plus, you're going to get a free $100 bet. And the cool thing is this weekend, DraftKings is giving, if you maximum bet of $25, if you bet $25 and use their promo, if any team scores a touchdown, doesn't matter, it's just you opt in. If any team scores that touchdown, you double your money. So free $25. So use that promo code down below. And I believe on FanDuel, same thing. If you sign up using our link and you deposit $10 or more, they're going to give you free $50. It's a free $50 bet to use there. So that's down below. You must be present in Iowa, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and West Virginia. So that being said, those links will be down below. Let's dig into the week. So looking at this first game, the matchup we've been looking forward to forever. Tom Brady and the Bucs head to Green Bay to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. As of now, it's projected Green Bay will win, cover the spread, and the total will go under. Obviously, we'll wait. Total opened up at 51, and Green Bay is a 3-point favorite. Predicted score, 20.4 for Tampa Bay and 30.1 for Green Bay. So they're thinking it should be a Green Bay in the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, we know a lot can happen. A lot can change, clearly. Tom Brady is coming off. He didn't have a very good game. They still got the win, but he didn't have a very good game. We're going to dig into those numbers. But if you are sports betting, I'm definitely looking. I'm hoping it's a Green Bay Chiefs Super Bowl. But we'll see. We'll kind of. It will really hinge on if Mahomes is ready to go. And as of right now, he is not. So obviously wait throughout the week. But as of right now, he's still in the concussion protocol. So we'll have to see. So that's the first game. I mean, you can look and you can see these different ones. Matchups, 52% of the money is on Green Bay. And so, yeah, you can look at that. Then we can look at Buffalo at Kansas City, second game. As of right now, opened up as a 3-point favorite. We'll kind of see. I wouldn't be surprised if I were to take this. If you are hedging bets, I would take Buffalo just in case Chad Henne is starting for Kansas City. As you can see, super close right now. Bills 25.7 implied team total with Kansas City 25.8 implied team total. If Mahomes can't go, and I fully see him going because there's no way the NFL will allow their poster child Mahomes not to play, because no one's going to want to watch, Chad Henne, but more power to him. Definitely pay attention. If you want, you could take the points right now before these change, because I fully see when Mahomes news comes out, it could, go up. And if you can get those 3 points, it's key. So, or on the flip side with Kansas City winning by 3. The only problem is Kansas City hasn't been able to cover the spread. I think their last, 6-10-1 covering the spread. That's crazy. It's crazy. So those are the betting odds, guys. Obviously, other things will happen. We have sports betting on the website. We'll be putting out prop bets. So this is our matchup tool. This is completely free on the website. I wanted to bring this to your attention so you guys can see it. And it is projected out with every single game. So we've added the regular season and the playoffs to this. So as you can see, Chiefs give up the most amount of fantasy points to the quarterback position in these 4 matchups. So Josh Allen makes a fantastic option. He's thrown for 40 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions this year. He has 478 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. Bills give up second most, so that's why the over-under's there. If Mahomes is in, it could be a shootout. I would be definitely looking at the over. I would take the over in this game right now before it probably creeps up. It's at 53, but obviously could creep up. So looking at this, Mahomes has played 16 games. We know he left hurt with a concussion. This is definitely something to pay attention to. 16 games, 66.5% completion, almost 5,000 yards, 39 touchdowns in the air to 6 interceptions with 3 rushing touchdowns and 322 yards. Next, the Bucks give up the second most. Rodgers here, obviously, he's going to win MVP. Love me some Rodgers here. I think if Mahomes is in, Rodgers is going to be actually the probably the lowest owned here, and you can take advantage of that. He's got the best completion percentage of all of them, almost 5,000 yards as well, 50 touchdowns to 5 interceptions with 4 rushing touchdowns and 146 rushing yards. And then this one's Packers. I love the Packers at home. It'd be a lot better if it was colder too. Brady obviously played every game this year. Almost 64.5% completion, 5,200 yards, 44 touchdowns, 25 sacks. Though he has been giving up or getting some sack. He's gotten sacked. He has 6 rushing yards, but 4 touchdowns. So that being said, those are your quarterbacks. So we can look at that. And we can just dig in and look at these numbers real quick. So this is why it's going to be a longer-ish video, because we're going to dig into every possible number we can look at. So I do apologize, but this should be very informative for you. If it is informative, hit that subscribe button. Because if you guys do sign up for premium content, you're going to get the conference championship this week. You're going to get PGA on Thursday. We're already rolling out the cheat sheet in a little bit. Depending on when you watch this, it's probably out. We'll have MMA this weekend. Conor McGregor is back. Had a huge week in MMA last weekend. Had our highest scoring day ever. I think on FanDuel it was like 891 or 851 without looking. So it was a pretty big day. We had every winner but one in our lineup, and it was a salary relief type play. So definitely check that out. You also get NBA as well. So you can get half off a month, or if you use the promo code 300OFF, 300OFF, you can get the $399 year package for $99. There's only, I think, 3 coupon codes left. So that being said, just kind of looking at the quarterbacks here. So Mahomes is the top price here at $7,600, Josh Allen at $6,900, Aaron Rodgers at $6,500, and Tom Brady at $6,100. Chad Henne, if he does play, I don't know if he will, 5,000. I think you'll see when you play multiple lineups, you will definitely see Chad Henne in there. And at 5,000, why not throw a dart in there just in case? But I mean, he didn't do much last week. 2.84 fantasy points. So just kind of look at Mahomes if he's in there. Obviously, these two right here, I would take Josh Allen over Mahomes because Josh Allen's going to run a little bit more. But just kind of looking at Mahomes at 7,600, he's averaging 26.9, where you can get, and he has a little bit worse matchup, where you can see Josh Allen is averaging 26.9 as well. He's got a better matchup for quarterbacks, and he's $700 less than that. So just kind of looking at that, you can look at Mahomes. Obviously, I mean, he still got 21.6 before he got hurt. So that's a thing. I mean, he completed 21 of 30. I mean, when he took that hit on Sunday, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but he had no idea where he was at. He woke up and he was lost. But, I mean, he still got 21.6 there before getting hurt. That is something to watch. We are waiting there. And before that, Mahomes had a toe injury that he did leave on. So that is something to kind of pay attention to. First quarter he went in, but obviously came back out. Did come out, but then, got that crazy concussion. I mean, it was crazy. He didn't even get hit in the head, so it was very weird. I didn't see his head hit the ground either, so it's just weird. But Andy Reid was asked if he's able to practice prior to the championship, and he said that's for the medical staff to decide. So we were really waiting here, pins and needles. So Mahomes is always in play, but if I were to take one, it would be Josh Allen. And like I said, he's got the best matchup here against the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs defense have been playing pretty good as of late, but I do like Allen. He's got a ton of options, and we're going to go over that. So just kind of looking at quarterbacks, game against Baltimore, he didn't have his best day, had 12.54, but honestly it was a 17-3 result. Only 23 of 37 completions, 206 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions, but it was really the Bills defense that took down the millionaire maker this past week. So I still love Josh Allen here. I think a lot of people who don't watch these videos, who only make lineups, they're going to see 12.54 and they're going to go Mahomes. Take Josh Allen. Hopefully we count your money. So in week 18, 35.36. So, I mean, has he played Kansas City this year? Yes. So back in week 6, lost 26-17, 14 of 27, 122 yards. Did have 2 touchdowns and an interception and only 12 or 16.08 fantasy points. He was 6,800 there. Now he's 69. He's obviously had a better. I mean, he's ramped up big time. So he's played there before, and that was at home. This is in Kansas City. I get that. On the road, there'll be crowds. I completely get that. But I really like Josh Allen and Buffalo. I could see them definitely upsetting Kansas City, specifically smash that if Mahomes is out. So there's that. Then you got Aaron Rodgers here going up against Tampa Bay. So played him in week 6, his worst week, 16 of 35, had 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He is playing at home. That's better. It is the playoffs. It's playoffs. Rodgers versus playoffs. Brady. 5.8. It was crazy. I don't think we used him that week, but definitely didn't have his best week. Obviously, people are going to see that and shy away from that. But you could take advantage of his price because back then he was $7,500. He's $1,000 cheaper than he was in week 6, and he's only gone on to, if he doesn't win the MVP, it's completely rigged. So Aaron Rodgers makes a fantastic option, and specifically if you're making multiple lineups, definitely be looking at Aaron Rodgers. And then Tom Brady here, obviously. He didn't do much last week. 18 of 33, threw for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 22 fantasy points. He did, I believe the Saints dropped 3 passes that should have been interceptions. So, be that as it may, that obviously isn't going to reflect in the game log here. But what did he do back in week 6 against Green Bay? So this was at home. They won 38-10. 17 of 27, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only had 14.64 fantasy points. Green Bay's defense has ramped it up since then. It's in Green Bay. I haven't looked at the weather yet, but just kind of moving in that direction. Aaron Rodgers, I love him. Obviously, you could always throw Brady in there, but the fact that it's going to be at Lambeau, it's going to be loud. Brady's going to be on the road. And, Antonio Brown might be out. He had an injury. It doesn't look serious. He's day-to-day, obviously, but it's a pretty explosive wide receiver that is possibly going to be out. So just looking at the weather for Sunday, 29 degrees and possibility of snow. Less than an inch, but chance of snow 50% and a little bit of wind. So could be windy, going to be a little bit snowy. Well, Tom Brady obviously is used to that in New England, but that is a breakdown of the quarterbacks. So we can move to the running backs now. I've done the due diligence. We've looked. Obviously, there are other options out there, but the Packers give up the most amount of fantasy points to the running back position. That brings us to Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. Fournette had a pretty good game last week. So did Jones. As you can see, Jones has played 16 of 18 games. Fournette has played 15 of 18. So we can look at that once we get into the numbers. You can see the Chiefs give up second most. The Bills. The problem is the Bills, as you can see, they're not giving up, or they're not getting very many fantasy points this year. So these are fantasy points allowed by the defense, and these are fantasy points given up per game, or fantasy points gained this season. So the Bills haven't really run it. So this, if you want to do the, narrative street and you want to do ownership, you want to play that game, Singletary, Yeldon could be in there. I think I'd probably look at Singletary. And you can see if Devontae Freeman is going to get called up, if he's even still on the team without digging into the numbers. He was on the practice squad as backup, so we can see we can see that. So, looking at that, Devin Singletary could be, or out of. I think his ownership probably going to be pretty low just because people are going to see that these numbers. Now, that would be if you're making multiple lineups. If you're wanting to make like 1 to 5 lineups, I don't know how much Singletary you're going to have. Yeldon, you're going to see his ownership there. And those are going to be the contests that are the millionaire contests, the 150 lineup maximum entry exposure there. So that's something to look at. Then we got the Bills at the Chiefs. As of right now, I don't know if Edwards-Elaire is going to be in there. A lot of people were on Le'Veon Bell last week. We were on Daryl Williams, and he's the one that got the bulk of the carries. Edwards-Elaire wasn't. He didn't play. Kind of waiting on this. He has a toe injury, then he has a hip injury, then both's okay. Then he's going to play, and then boom, it's a hip, it's a toe, it's just lower body. So that's something we're going to look at. If I were to take someone, Williams would be there. I mean, they had Darwin Thompson. I think Darwin Thompson. Let's see. Yeah, Darwin Thompson last week was more expensive than Daryl Williams. Now you can see Daryl Williams is $4,800. So even no one knew. I mean, these beat writers are supposed to help us out. They weren't even there. So that's, it's hard to, come here, try to get some advice. Hopefully we help you out. So I love me some Daryl Williams if they're going to play, but the Bills defense might be where we're looking at. So we'll definitely look at that when we get into DraftKings, though. And then the Bucs give up the least amount. You had Aaron Jones, you had Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon came out of there, very low owned. Not a lot of people were on him, and he did pretty good. And no touchdowns, obviously. In the playoffs yet, but Aaron Jones could be a free agent after the year. Packers are trying to get to the Super Bowl. Hopefully they do. Go Pack Go. But this is where you're going to get a little bit crazy because the Bucs don't give up the most amount, but the Packers are averaging 25.31 fantasy points per game from their running backs. So I would definitely be looking at Jones there. You got to get a little crazy in GPPs. In cash, stick with what works. So Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette would be pretty good. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, but A.J. Dillon, going to be cheap. Might not get you the touchdowns, but if you're using on DraftKings, kind of cheap. And we're going to get through these numbers. So that being said, let's dig into the numbers. So looking into running backs, Aaron Jones, he's the most expensive. It's kind of crazy to see that the most expensive running back is only $6,500. But kind of just looking, obviously Tampa Bay is the number 1 defense there. So you could see that. But his game log last week, 18.3, 18.5. Let's see what he did against Tampa Bay in week 6. 10 for 15. Wait a minute. You have 3 touchdowns? 3? Oh, okay. One touchdown. I was like, what? 1 touchdown, 3 receptions on 5 targets for 26 yards. He had 13.1. So obviously not the best, and one of his lower days kind of on the slate. Super expensive. People are going to see that, but I do love Aaron Jones. I love the Green Bay offense there. And that's kind of where it's at. Then you got Leonard Fournette here at 5,300, so 1,200 less here. Green Bay's given up the most amount of fantasy points here, so Fournette could be a good option. Last week, 21.7 against New Orleans. Week 18, 23.2. Did he play in week 6? So no, he did not play against Green Bay this year so far. So we really have no matchup to go off of. But you can kind of see the matchup here, which I really like. So at a glance, or game logs here, I really love Fournette. He could be cheap. I think he's going to be super high owned, though. That's the only problem. So looking at Edwards-Elaire, he was inactive last week. No real news. Awesome. No news yet as of Tuesday. No news if he's going to be in or out. He hasn't played since week 15. 14 attempts for 79 yards. Kind of wait and see game here. Daryl Williams is that's crazy, guys. Daryl Williams is the 4th most expensive running back on this slate. Going up against Kansas City, I mean, he's only averaging 4.9, but last week, 4,000. He went for 13.4 fantasy points, very low owned. This week he's 4,800. He's got a pretty good matchup. Is something to look at. For his price, I'm a little concerned, but the way the Bills defense has been playing, you can see they're 21st though overall this year. So I mean, not too bad, but this is something that you could look at. I think he's going to be high owned though. Ronald Jones against Green Bay. He obviously probably played in week 6. Week 6, 29.1. He went 23 rushes for 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions on 2 targets for 8 yards. Didn't have a touchdown there, but I mean, he went off. So week 6, he was 6,000. He's 4,600 right now, and he's had success. It's in Lambeau, I get that. This was at home, but he could be a great option. So Ronald Jones jumps out at me. 4,600. Love him there. Singletary, like I said, if you want to get a little bit crazy for GPPs, multi-lineups, Singletary, 4,500 against Kansas City. In Kansas City, it's going to be a little loud, I get that. But 4,500 last week. He's 4,500 again this week. Last week, 7 for 25. I mean, 6.7. And it's looked bleak, guys. He hasn't hit double digits since week 15. And it's been very inconsistent. Week 6, I mean, 5.5 fantasy points, 10 for 32. I realized Zach Moss was in there, and he took some of the plays from him. Let's see what he took in week 6. I mean, yeah, their running game didn't do anything. He took 1 fantasy point out of that. So Singletary kind of scares me. He's obviously going to be that, he could be that Traquan Smith play where it makes or breaks the slate. If he goes off, his ownership should be pretty low. Jamal Williams comes down here. You could look at him. I mean, he's not had the best of games lately. Hasn't hit double digits since week 12. It's been very inconsistent with him, but these are the kind of plays that are going to jump out at you. Le'Veon Bell's down here at 4,100. Last week, everyone and their mom was on it. 0.6 fantasy points, 2 attempts, 6 yards. He was targeted twice, got 0 receptions at 5,000. He's obviously cheaper now, but 0.6 fantasy points, that is a crazy number for his price. And you got Darwin Thompson, went off. 14 attempts, 45 yards, 7 for 7 receptions. So he had 2 touchdowns on the week. 30 fantasy points at 4,400, and he dropped down. Darwin Thompson dropped down to 4,000. He could be sneaky. I think he's going to be high owned, though. So then kind of just looking at this, just looking through A.J. Dillon, he's hopeful. He'll be ready to go this week. He didn't do much last week against the Rams, 2.7 fantasy points. So you could get a little bit sneaky here. But those are kind of just the breakdowns. I mean, you could see T.J. Yeldon at 4,000. Week 5. I mean, he didn't play between weeks 5 and 19, so that's saying something. So kind of crazy. Just those should be the main players for running backs in this game. Sorry about how long the video is, guys, but I wanted to make this the most informative breakdown that we possibly could to help you guys, because I want to see you guys win money. I want to see you jump into my Discord channel and show me your winnings. That's what's awesome. A couple seasons back, we had a $25,000 winner. We've had a couple $10,000 winners. We had a guy win $18,000. So we're breaking it down, and they're taking it home. So looking at this, wide receivers is ranked out here. The Bucs give up the most amount of fantasy points to the wide receiver out of all of these. They're averaging about 31.75 fantasy points against them, where the Packers, who are facing them, averaging 35.1. And that's the lowest amount. That's crazy. You got Aaron Rodgers going to win MVP, and his wide receivers don't even have the most amount of fantasy points averaging this year. So obviously Devontae Adams is going to be a huge thing. 19 touchdowns on the whole year, regular season and postseason. had a pretty damn good touchdown against Jalen Ramsey. Had a negative matchup against Ramsey last week and came through. He was part of our some of our sports betting. He was in our lineups as well, and he came through. So I love me some Davante Adams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. We'll look at his numbers, but he came through. Alan Lazard was the lower-owned one. Equanimous St. Brown, hard name to say. The thing is, he dropped some pretty easy passes to him. He should be, super cheap without digging into his numbers. We'll look at that. So next up, Bills give up the second most amount of fantasy points, where the Chiefs are averaging the the Chiefs wide receivers anyway. This is really going to, be very dependent if it's Mahomes or if it's Chad Henne. So we're waiting on news, but Tyreek Hill, the thing is, Tyreek Hill, wide receiver. They give him the end arounds. He's a fast running back. Same thing with Mccall Hardman. Sometimes they do a flea flicker. Sometimes they get a little bit crazy. Tyreek Hill throws the ball. All of these are plus. Now, without looking at the numbers, I'm going to assume Davante Adams is higher priced. We'll obviously dig into that. But I love Tyreek Hill here. Mccall Hardman, he could be lower owned. Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle. We had some Byron Pringle last week, and he came through. But we were more on Demarcus Robinson than Pringle. So that brings us to the Packers. Why is that not completely dark? There we go. So the Packers give up the third most amount, and the Bucs are averaging 38.1 fantasy points. So we're looking at Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, Antonio Brown, and Tyler Johnson. Like I said, I wanted to give you guys the most amount of numbers that I could of the players that could make an impact. Now, Tyler Johnson would be a GPP dart because he barely does anything. In 16 games, only has 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Antonio Brown wasn't even on the team for most of the year, and he had 542 yards. So that is something to pay attention to. Johnson would be GPP. Brown would be, we've got to look because he's injured. We'll kind of see, play it by ear. So Mike Evans is obviously there. Chris Godwin is obviously there. Scotty Miller makes an option as well. You can see their numbers here. The matchup tool will actually be linked down below as well, so you guys can have these numbers throughout. You should be able to filter. I can't remember if you guys are able to filter or not. Let me know, though. Definitely let me know. And then somehow the Chiefs secondary has given up the least amount of fantasy points, where the Bills are averaging, 45.3 fantasy points above, just head and shoulders above the rest. Stefan Diggs, he's going to be highly owned. Huge numbers out of him. I expect big numbers out of him this week. Cole Beasley let us down last week, I'm not going to lie. Gabriel Davis had some catches, definitely not what he was projected at. John Brown is very iffy. Is he going to be 100% healthy? Is he going to be the number 1 guy? Is he going to be, well, obviously he's not the number 1. He's going to be number 2 guy, but the problem with taking wide receiver on the Bills, it's kind of like the Chiefs. You never know who's going to get the bulk. You never know who's going to have the big game, and we're definitely going to look into that. Isaiah McKenzie had some big games, kind of floundered, hasn't been talked about, hasn't been utilized as much lately. So just kind of looking into the wide receivers here. Like we said, we're going to do Davante Adams at the top. Tampa Bay, obviously, love. They give up the most amount. He's going to be super high owned. I get that. But the pricing is kind of soft for the amount of games. So against Tampa Bay, week 6, 12.1 fantasy points, 6 for 10 for 61 yards, no touchdowns. Now, don't forget, that was his first game back from injury. So they were taking it easy on him. His first week, he had 17 targets for 44.6. Then the week after that against Houston, 16 targets for 196 yards, 47.6, 30.3, 36.6. He's balling out. He really is. The highest priced guy by 800. Love his matchup there. Love me some Davante Adams this week. So kind of looking, Tyreek Hill up there against Buffalo, and it will really depend on, who the quarterback is. You got Tyreek Hill, week 6 against Buffalo, 5.5. So he was kind of shut down. 3 targets, 3 receptions on 3 targets. So he's there. I'll probably be pretty soft on Hill, given the other matchups. You got Stefan Diggs here against Kansas City. Kind of see, back-to-back 27-plus fantasy point games, back-to-back 100-yard games. He's got 1,700 yards on the season. He's been balling out. Double digits. Let's see, has he had a week without double digits? He hasn't had a week without double digits. Week 6 against Kansas City at home, 16.6. 6 for 8 for 46 yards and a touchdown. I fully see him doubling the amount of yards there. Will he double his fantasy points? Who knows? But he is in a great spot, and he's not even the highest priced guy. Then we move to, Tampa Bay's. They're all next to each other. Mike Evans has been very hit or miss this year, depending on who you're facing. Against Green Bay in Week 6, 2 fantasy points. Had 2 targets and a touchdown. So, Mike Evans is a little bit scary for his price. I don't know. And it's only $5,800. That's the thing. So Chris Godwin here. Looking at this, he's been hurt this year. We know that. He's only missed a couple of weeks. 5,400 against Green Bay. Like I said, Packers right here. So Godwin's there. He's got 953 yards total. 74 receptions last week in the divisional round against New Orleans. 4 for 7. Only had 34 yards though. That's kind of crazy. He had 7 targets, 4 receptions, only had 34 yards. 7.4, and he was 5,700. So he's dropped down. Coming off of Washington, where he's 7,000 against Atlanta at 33, and then when we go down and look what he did in Week 6 against Green Bay, 5 for 7, 48 yards, and 9.8 fantasy points. So again, Tampa Bay has a ton of options to throw to, and that's just kind of what we got to look at. So you've got Godwin there, and then you got Brown kind of looking on news. He's considered day-to-day with a knee. Avoided serious injury, but could face a challenge to be ready for this week. Obviously, that's something to look at. At 4,700 is not bad, but he had 2 fantasy. He only had 3 targets before he got hurt, and he didn't play Week 6. Obviously, didn't play until Week 9. So yeah, he is a big question mark. Be very concerned about putting him in my lineup. Let's move to John Brown. 14.2 last week against Baltimore. He had 11 targets. It's tied for the most amount he's had all year. 62 yards, but 14.2 fantasy points at 4,600, and now he's dropped to 4,300. He could make an interesting option. I love stacking the Bills this week, and you're going to see a lot of lineups stacking. With only 4 teams in 2 games, it's definitely going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if there are multiple lineups that will take down the GPPs this week. But kind of looking against Kansas City in Week 6, he had he had no catches on 4 targets. So he struggled to begin the season. It's true. Begin the season, he had 4 catches on 11 targets in 3 games, and no, more than that. So, started off hot and then cooled off. Didn't have a good game against Kansas City. I don't know how much exposure I'll have to John Brown. Allen Lazard is the sneaky one where everyone's going to be on Devontae Adams for good reason. You could pivot to Allen Lazard. Last week, 19.6 fantasy points, 96 yards, a touchdown, had 8 targets against the Rams and their number 1 defense. I get it, Aaron Donald was hurt, but they were still shredded. So we can look down. He did not play. He obviously did he have a punctured lung? Or no, he had a torn, that's right. Core muscle. Yeah, that's right. He had surgery. So he didn't play there. Super cheap, 4,200. Definitely will have exposure to him. I think, sadly, he's going to be higher owned just because people are going to see recency bias on him. You look at Cole Beasley. Really let us down this week. Only had 2 targets, didn't catch 1, had 0 fantasy points. Against Kansas City in Week 6, 14.5, 4 for 7 for 45 yards and a touchdown. So he could be a sneakier one. He had over 1,000 yards this year. Then we got we got Mccall Hardman. Like I said, he can run the ball. He gets you points on special teams. He's so fast. It's crazy. Last week, 10.2 fantasy points, 4 for 4 for 58 yards, 1 rushing attempt for 4 yards. So kind of looking at that. and he had 2 targets. Or no, sorry, wrong one. Kind of looking at what he did in Week 6 in Buffalo, nothing. Had 1 target, didn't catch anything. So that is a cheaper one. Obviously, 4,000, super cheap for you. If you want to go Valdez-Scantling, he was targeted 8 times last week, only caught 4 of them. He dropped some, I think he dropped a pretty clear touchdown, which would have tripled his, or doubled his points. 3,900, he is a fantastic option. You got to get crazy, like I said. Watkins, probably going to be out again. Obviously, pay attention here, but facing his old team, if you want to go that narrative, we'll play that by ear during the week. Demarcus Robinson, didn't do much there. Week 6 against Buffalo, 11.9. I mean, he did pretty good. 6 targets, 69 yards, so cheaper option. Pringle will really depend, if he's going to get any run. Didn't do much on 3 targets last week, so going away from him. And McKenzie's kind of fallen off a cliff. He had that huge game against Miami, and then last week against Baltimore, 2.8. So didn't do much there. Week 6, 1.4. So he hasn't had much success against Green Bay. So those are the wide receiver. Well, I guess you can come down here to Tyler Johnson. Could get some run if AB is out, and 1 target last week. So not much. Week 6 against Green Bay, he had a touchdown, 7 yards for a touchdown, so red zone. So could be used in the red zone. Definitely something to look at there. Then we move to the tight end position to wrap up this long-winded video, but I hope it brings you some maybe positive notes that you didn't dig into yourself. That's pretty much what this is. So hopefully you're just listening and taking notes as you go. But the Chiefs give up the most amount of fantasy points, barely, but do. The Bills, they don't give up, or they don't get very many fantasy points. There's just so many mouths to feed in Buffalo. But Dawson Knox had a touchdown last week. Could be an option there if you want to pay down. Tyler Kroft, I don't believe he got a look in last week. So kind of looking at that, he's played 10 games, 119 yards. If you're taking one, obviously you would take Knox, but that just means that Tyler Kroft's going to have 2 touchdowns this week. You will see lineups with Kroft if you don't play single entry. I will guarantee you see more exposure. He'll probably be right around 5%. Would not be surprised. Bills give up the second most amount of fantasy points. Obviously, that's Travis Kelce. Guy's a stud. One of the top, if not the top, tight ends in the game right now. Could be a lot of dump-off passes for him if Henne is playing, and I think he makes a great option. Obviously going to be high-owned, high-priced. Bucks give up the next. The Packers would look at Robert Tonyan. Now they have Robert Tonyan, Jay Sternberger, and Mercedes Lewis, who can, vulture from him, but had a really long reception last week. Didn't do a lot with it. Didn't have a touchdown, but there we are. And then the Packers give up the least amount. Gronk has really not done anything past few weeks, which we'll dig into. Cameron Brate has been there and should be on the cheaper end. No, he's the 4th. Of course he is. So we've got Kelce here, the number 1 ranked or priced at 8,000 against Kansas City or against Buffalo. So looking at this, 27, 22, 22, 30, 30, 16, 29, 28, 27. There's a reason. Obviously in week 7 he had a down week. Week 6 against Buffalo, 5 for 7, 65 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, obviously with Mahomes, but if they get in the red zone, a lot of dump-off passes, he could be in the winning lineup. Tonyan here, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 60 yards. I believe the one was 33 yards. Got 10 fantasy points at 4,200, dropped down to 3,600. So you could look at that. Gronk has, he's there. More blocking, but he hasn't done anything since week 16. As you can see, he had good game there, and then a couple duds, and a good game, and then a dud, and a good game. Week 6 against Green Bay, 5 for 8, 78 yards, a touchdown. Did get 18.8. He was 4,400. Gronk is 3,200 on DraftKings. Could be a sneaky option. Also, could do 1 for 5 for 14 yards. So, again, multiple lineups. Get Gronk in at least one of them. Then we can look at Brate. Brate's come through 9 fantasy points at 2,900. He's 3,000 there. So, I mean, that's perfect. Obviously, you would love to see more, but, I mean, cheaper options. Washington, you got 12. Then we go down to week 6 against Green Bay, 1.3. Had 1 target, or 1 reception, 1 target, 3 yards. Dawson Knox could be there, 3.8. Week 6, didn't play. Was hurt. He was either hurt or that might have been when he tested positive or was a close contact for COVID. Nick Keiser, I mean, nothing kind of crazy. Week 6 had 1.2. So that's kind of it. I mean, you've got the tight ends you're going to use. And then, like, Ricky Seals-Jones could come in. He hasn't done anything this year. Obviously, anyone can do anything at any time. Where is Mercedes Lewis is 2,500. I mean, 1.9. I mean, he's not done much. Week 6 against Tampa Bay didn't do anything. And then Sternberger wasn't active last week. I fully expect him not to be active. But if somehow he is, I mean, he hasn't done much, but does have a touchdown on the year. And, cheap. So, that being said, those are the tight ends. That's what we've got. Red Zone, you can go check it out. It's not just playoffs, it's every single red zone inside the 20, inside the 10, passes, rushes, and receptions. But you want to look at the defense. Now, I know a lot of people like to say punt the defense, but you can fit in any defense this week. Packers, I think, are going to be there. Brady, obviously, dropped or could have been picked off 3 times last week. If you want to use that, you could use that with Packers as your defense. Chiefs have been coming on strong late. Let's just let's break it down. Again, guys, this is our longest video we've ever done, but this is important. This is the last week of NFL that we can do for DFS, and I am sad about it. But if you guys join us for sports betting, we will have prop bets for the Super Bowl. I'm not going to do anything for the Pro Bowl because they're playing Madden. Just stupid. So, looking at their defense, I mean, last week 5 fantasy points, 6, 7. What'd they do? Obviously, in week 6 they didn't do anything, -1. But this is playoffs, and it's at home at Lambeau, and it's cold. Could be snowing. Definitely look at them there. Chiefs defense, second most. I mean, a couple years ago they were amazing. Then they've fallen off. Last week 6 fantasy points. Week 6 against Buffalo 3. So, and I don't have a good feeling about the Chiefs defense. Bills defense. I love how the Bills defense. I get it. They're priced like they're playing Mahomes. If they're playing Henny, 2,800. I mean, they're coming off 19 fantasy points there. They had 21 against Miami, 2 in Miami. Double digits against Denver and Pittsburgh. Week 6 against Kansas City, 3. That's Mahomes. Again, I get that. They only gave up 26 points, but that's something to look at. Definitely get some ownership percentage there. And then the Bucs, I mean, you could hedge it and look. Obviously, they had a good game in week 6, 19 fantasy points. Gave up 10 points to Aaron Rodgers, but there's no way Aaron Rodgers puts up 10 points in the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl while he has a chance to clinch it at home. He's never been able to do. So there you go, guys. That is the comprehensive breakdown of the conference championship week. We'll know in about 128 hours who is in the Super Bowl and who is in the off season. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. If this video gets 50 thumbs up before lineups lock, we're going to throw you a FanDuel and DraftKings GPP lineup. We're going to get a little crazy. Going to pin that down below. Again, you go to fantasyteamadvisors.com. You can, let me get that link up. fantasyteamadvisors.com. Click on FTA Plus. It'll bring you to this page. 5-day pass for $9.99, which is good. You can check that out. You get a month pass. Use the promo code. Do you remember what the promo code was? It was conference. Exactly how it sounds. All caps. You'll get half off for a month pass. That'll include the rest of this NFL season. Obviously this week. If you do it now, you'll get PGA on Thursday. You'll get NBA between now and for the month. Hopefully they don't close down. Today, Tuesday, they have 2 games, which is weird, but whatever. MMA on Saturday, 2 games of NFL on Sunday, and then you got the rest. You got a month rest of MMA, PGA, and NBA. And if you do the year pass, use promo code 300 off. That's 300OFF. You can get $300 off. You're going to get for $99. Fantastic. Full year. If we bring NASCAR back, if you guys want NHL, we'll look at that. I highly doubt I'll be able to do NHL videos because I will butcher every single name. I already know I'll butcher every single name. Then we do have a sports betting package, which you can check out with betting, NBA, NFL. Go check that out as well. So that's what I've got, guys. I hope you had this video in your mind. I hope it was informative. If you have any questions, comment down below or email me, support@fantasyteamadvisors.com. If anyone is a lifetime subscriber or a year subscriber, we did have to change platforms because the other one was out of date. And for some reason, none of the subscriptions moved over. So please email me and we'll get you set back up on the site. I know I can check into your name, and so I can see if you have how much time you have left. And if it's a lifetime, if you're on there, we'll get you set up fast and easy. Don't forget. Please go like all of our social media. At 2,000 Twitter followers, we will give away a year subscription. At 100 Facebook followers or likes, we just launched this new page. At 100 likes, we'll give away a year pass as well. That's what I've got in this video, guys. Any questions, please comment down below. We'll get this done. Go check out all of the links in the description. The sports betting links are going to give you free money if you guys sign up. So definitely get you signed up. Again, you have to be in those selected states: Iowa, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and West Virginia. And I look forward to hearing all about your winnings in our Discord channel, which you can find down below. Good luck this weekend, guys. Thank you for a fantastic NFL season. We will be back in 8-ish short months, sadly. But we will have MLB coming, and we're super excited about MLB. NBA's here. Good luck, and as always, bring home that bacon. Peace.